Introducing the Current Affairs Workbook. It is an activity-driven learning comprising summaries, quick facts, MCQs, true-false statements, mains practice questions, and ethics case studies, consolidated into a comprehensive workbook. Dive into our monthly magazine summary, a concise overview capturing key insights, events, and trends of the month. Unlock the power of our Quick Facts block, your rapid reference toolkit with essential facts, figures, and critical statistics. Experience our dynamic activities like MCQs and true-false statements to subjective questions and ethics case studies that refine your analytical thinking and articulation skills. Track your progress with our dedicated self-evaluation page, your personal growth monitoring and improvement tool. Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Let's start by taking a quick look at the headlines. Plastic Pollution Treaty negotiations adjourn in Busan, South Korea. Supreme Court issues directions for effective compliance of POSH Act. Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary declared as the 8th Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. Oilfields Regulation and Development Amendment Bill 2024 passed in Rajya Sabha. Report titled Stepping Back from the Precipice, Transforming Land Management to Stay Within Planetary Boundaries released. FSSAI issues advisory for e-commerce food business operators. Starting with the first news, negotiations for a legally binding treaty on plastic pollution have concluded in Busan, South Korea, without reaching a finalized agreement. This marks the 5th session of talks mandated by a 2022 UN Environment Assembly resolution aimed at addressing the full life cycle of plastics, including their production, design, and disposal. Despite intensive discussions, several factors prevented the treaty from being finalized. A major sticking point was the demand by the European Union, Latin American and African countries for production capping goals, which faced strong opposition from countries like India and China. Another challenge was the lack of clarity in the draft text regarding the elimination of specific plastic chemicals and products. While the draft defined plastics and plastic products clearly, it failed to include definitions for microplastics, nanoplastics, primary plastic polymers, and recycling, leaving significant gaps. India's stance during the negotiations played a crucial role in shaping the discussions. India expressed its inability to support measures that would regulate the production of primary plastic polymers, citing potential impacts on development rights. Furthermore, India emphasized that the treaty's scope should be confined to addressing plastic pollution without overlapping with the mandates of other multilateral environmental agreements. It also resisted including phase-out lists with the set dates at this stage, instead advocating for provisions that consider national circumstances and capabilities. Importantly, India called for financial and technical assistance, including technology transfer, to support developing countries in tackling plastic pollution. Plastic pollution remains a pressing global issue. Annually, over 460 million metric tons of plastic are produced worldwide, with 19 to 23 million tons leaking into aquatic ecosystems. This pollution disrupts habitats and natural processes, reducing ecosystems' ability to adapt to climate change and directly impacting livelihoods, food production, and social well-being. The issue is closely linked to climate change, as approximately 98% of single-use plastic products are derived from fossil fuels, contributing significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. The lack of consensus in Busan underscores the complexities of creating a global framework to combat plastic pollution. However, the urgency of addressing this crisis remains clear, and future sessions will aim to bridge these gaps. Moving ahead, let's dive into a significant update from the Supreme Court regarding the sexual harassment of women at workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, commonly known as the POSH Act. The court has issued comprehensive directions to ensure uniform and effective implementation of the POSH Act across all states and union territories. Let's break down these directives for better understanding. Firstly, the court emphasized that every appropriate government must notify district officers for each district. These officers are to play a pivotal role in discharging their duties under the POSH Act. Now, what are these duties? District officers are tasked with ensuring the constitution of internal complaints committees or ICCs in organizations within their districts. As per Section 4 of the Act, every employer is required to set up an ICC, which is responsible for receiving complaints, initiating inquiries, and recommending appropriate actions. Moving further, the court highlighted the importance of constituting local committees as mandated by Section 6 of the Act. Here's why local committees are crucial. They handle complaints of sexual harassment in establishments where ICCs haven't been set up, such as those with fewer than 10 workers, or in cases where the complaint is against the employer. To streamline the process further, the court directed the designation of one nodal officer in every block, taluka, tehsil in rural or tribal areas, or in municipalities of urban regions. These officers will ensure that the jurisdiction of local committees extends effectively across the concerned districts. Additionally, the court encouraged states to consider implementing She-Box, the Sexual Harassment Electronic Box. This platform aims to provide a single window system for women to register complaints of sexual harassment easily and effectively. Now, let's quickly revisit some key provisions of the POSH Act itself. The Act defines sexual harassment comprehensively, including physical contact, demands of sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, and other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. It applies to all workplaces, government and private, hospitals, NGOs, employer-provided transport, and even residential spaces connected to employment. Importantly, it mandates that establishment of both internal complaints committees or ICCs within organizations and local committees at the district level for cases that ICCs cannot address. With these directives, the Supreme Court has reaffirmed its commitment to creating a safer and more equitable workplace environment for women. The onus now lies on states and union territories to ensure compliance and make workplaces harassment-free zones. In a remarkable step for wildlife conservation, the Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary has been declared the 8th Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. With this addition, Madhya Pradesh's tiger reserves now include Kanha, Satpura, Bandhavgarh, Pench, Sanjay Dubre, Panna, Virangana Durgavati, and now Ratapani. Situated in the Raisen and Sihor districts of Madhya Pradesh, Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary is not only known for its biodiversity, but also for its rich cultural and historical significance. The sanctuary encompasses the Bhimbetka rock shelters, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and several other fascinating landmarks such as Ginnaurgarh Fort, POW Camp, Gary Mahadev, and Jholiapur Dam. The forests of Ratapani are a mix of dry and moist deciduous vegetation, with teak covering 55% of the area. The sanctuary is home to a wide variety of wildlife, including tigers, leopards, sloth bears, hyenas, spotted deer, and sambhar deer, making it a vital habitat for both flora and fauna. Declaring a sanctuary as a tiger reserve involves a detailed process under Section 38V of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The state government first submits a proposal to the National Tiger Conservation Authority or NTCA, which provides in-principle approval and seeks detailed proposals. After a thorough review, the NTCA recommends the designation to the state, which then formally notifies the area as a tiger reserve. This rigorous process ensures that every new tiger reserve meets the necessary ecological and administrative requirements for effective conservation. India has consistently demonstrated its commitment to protecting tigers through initiatives like Project Tiger, a centrally sponsored scheme that supports tiger conservation efforts in states. The country has also set global benchmarks in tiger reserve management, with 23 reserves accredited under the Conservation Assured Tiger Standards or CATS by December 2023. Additionally, India's launch of the International Big Cat Alliance or IBCA highlights its proactive approach to securing the future of not just tigers, but all big cats across the globe. With the inclusion of Ratapani as a tiger reserve, Madhya Pradesh reaffirms its dedication to safeguarding wildlife and preserving biodiversity. This is a crucial milestone in India's conservation journey as it continues to balance ecological preservation with developmental needs.
In a significant move, the Rajya Sabha has passed the Oilfields Regulation and Development Amendment Bill 2024 to further amend the Oilfields Regulation and Development Act 1948, which aims to regulate the exploration and extraction of natural gas and petroleum. Now let's take a closer look at the key features and implications of this landmark legislation. Among its standard provisions is the delinking of petroleum operations from mining operations, allowing for a more focused approach to petroleum exploration and development. The definition of mineral oils has been expanded to include any naturally occurring hydrocarbon, coal bed methane, and shale gas or oil. However, it also clarifies that mineral oils will not include coal, lignite, or helium. Another notable feature is the introduction of the petroleum lease concept, which grants permission for comprehensive operations including prospecting, exploration, production, making merchantable, carrying away or disposal of mineral oils. The bill also enhances the central government's rule-making authority. It retains powers to regulate leases, conservation, and royalties while adding provisions for lease mergers, facility sharing, environmental protection, and dispute resolution. Furthermore, the bill decriminalizes certain provisions of the Act, replacing them with a system of penalties. Lastly, appeals against the decisions of the adjudicating authority will lie before the appellate tribunal established under the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board Act of 2006. This amendment carries significant implications. It is a step toward ensuring energy access, security, and affordability while reducing import dependency. By creating a robust regulatory mechanism, it is poised to attract investments and enhance enforcement in India's oil and gas sector. For context, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board is a statutory body established under the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board Act of 2006, which plays a key role in regulating the sector. It oversees regulation of refining, transportation, distribution, storage, marketing, supply, and sale of petroleum products and natural gas, and lastly, ensures competitive markets for gas. Lastly, appeals against decisions of PNGRB can be escalated to the appellate tribunals for electricity. Moving ahead, a landmark report titled Stepping Back from the Precipice, Transforming Land Management to Stay Within Planetary Boundaries has been released by the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research in collaboration with the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. This report underscores the pivotal role of land in maintaining Earth's stability as it regulates climate, preserves biodiversity, maintains freshwater systems, and provides food, water, and raw materials. In fact, land is intricately linked to 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries, scientifically defined thresholds within which humanity can operate safely. Crossing these boundaries can lead to catastrophic environmental change and destabilize the Earth system. Yet, the report paints a stark picture of land degradation driven by human activities such as unsustainable farming, conversion of natural ecosystems, deforestation, and urbanization. Globally, 15 million square kilometers of land have already been degraded, impacting the lives of 1.2 billion people. Economically, cost of land degradation is estimated to range between 6.3 and 10.6 trillion US dollar annually. The report also lays out actionable recommendations to address this crisis. It calls for enabling factors such as supportive frameworks, economic incentives, clear property and resource use rights, and effective coordination between actors. Furthermore, substantial public and private investments, in particular, better integration and prioritization of sustainable land use in all national and international funding is deemed essential. A scientific framework like the planetary boundaries can serve as a practical guide for policymakers to make evidence-based policy decisions. Public and private investment must prioritize these sustainable approaches to halt and reverse the damage. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, or FSSAI, has issued an important advisory aimed at enhancing food safety and quality in the rapidly growing e-commerce food sector. This step underscores FSSAI's commitment to ensuring the safety, authenticity, and trustworthiness of food products available online. Let's break it down for you. The advisory mandates e-commerce platforms to comply with the Food Safety and Standard Labeling and Display Regulations 2020. This means that any claims made about a product online must align with the information provided on its physical label to prevent misleading consumers. A key focus is food safety and hygiene. Platforms are now required to train their last-mile delivery personnel in food safety practices to ensure that delivery staff are well trained in food safety and hygiene practices. Additionally, the advisory sets a clear standard for shelf life. Products delivered to customers must retain at least 30% of their shelf life or be delivered at least 45 days before their expiry date. Seller accountability is another major aspect. The advisory requires platforms to prominently display the FSSAI license and registration numbers of their sellers, alongside hygiene ratings of food business operators. Now, let's understand why this advisory is so significant. First, such measures are essential for ensuring the safety, quality, and authenticity of food products sold online. Additionally, it enhances transparency and trust, fostering consumer confidence and mitigating risk of foodborne illnesses. To provide some context, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India was established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 and operates under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It plays a pivotal role in laying down science-based standards for food articles and regulating their manufacture, storage, distribution, and sale. The organization is headed by a chairperson appointed by the central government, supported by 22 members, a third of whom are women. As online food platforms continue to reshape the way we dine, this advisory is a crucial step towards safeguarding public health.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Recently, the South Korean president declared emergency martial law. Since the establishment of the Republic of Korea, martial law has been declared 16 times. It was last declared in 1980. Martial law involves the suspension of civilian governance, with military control over parliament, media, and political parties. The Reserve Bank of India has released its quarterly house price index, or HPI. The HPI increased by 4.3% year-on-year in Q2 of 2024-25, up from 3.3% in the previous quarter. Among cities, Bengaluru recorded the highest growth at 8.8%, while Kanpur experienced a decline of 2.0%. SEBI has proposed a framework for Restricted Return Infrastructure Investment Trusts, or InvITs. An InvIT is similar to a mutual fund, allowing investors to directly invest in infrastructure projects and earn returns. Under the concept of Restricted Return InvITs, the sponsor of the InvIT can offer investors a fixed return or a specific dividend expectation. Lok Sabha has passed the Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024. Key provisions include amendments to major acts such as the RBI Act 1934, the Banking Regulation Act 1949, and the SBI Act 1955. The bill redefines fortnight for calculating cash reserves, average daily balance with RBI, as either the 1st to the 15th or the 16th to the last day of each month, for both scheduled and non-scheduled banks. 3 new initiatives were launched at UNCCD COP16 under the chairmanship of Saudi Arabia. These initiatives include the Riyadh Drought Resilience Partnership, which will leverage public and private finance to support 80 of the most vulnerable and drought-hit countries. The World Drought Atlas, launched by UNCCD in collaboration with European Commission Joint Research Centre, or JRC, and other partners, was also unveiled. Additionally, the International Drought Resilience Observatory, or IDRO, was launched by the International Drought Resilience Alliance, or IDRA. Prime Minister marks 9 years of Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan, also known as Accessible India Campaign, was launched in 2015. It aims to ensure universal accessibility across 3 vital domains. Built infrastructure, transport systems, and the information and communication technology, or ICT ecosystem. Recently, the US approved a $1.17 billion deal to sell India support equipment for MH-60R helicopters under its Foreign Military Sales Program. The Indian Navy commissioned the first squadron of MH-60R Seahawk multi-role helicopters at INS Garud, Kochi, in March 2024. These helicopters are part of a $2.6 billion foreign military sales deal for 25 Lockheed Martin/Sikorsky MH-60R Seahawk. Recently, researchers at the Institute of Advanced Study in Science and Technology, or IASST, Guwahati, have identified the therapeutic potential of Subabul in managing insulin resistance related to type 2 diabetes. Subabul is a fast-growing traditional medicinal leguminous tree native to tropical and subtropical regions. Studies have revealed how extrachromosomal DNA drives cancer progression and drug resistance. Extrachromosomal DNA refers to small circular DNA fragments that float freely in the nucleus, separate from chromosomes. These fragments are typically formed due to DNA damage, such as chromothripsis or errors during DNA replication. Gharchola, a traditional wedding sari from Gujarat, has received the GI tag. Historically crafted in auspicious colors like red, maroon, green, and yellow, it is traditionally worn during Hindu and Jain weddings. The GI tag is a sign used on products that have a specific geographical origin and possess qualities or a reputation that are due to that origin. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.